And up here, it'll show you when people are watching. And we just kind of start talking, and they will eventually pop on. So
Okay.
I know it's awkward. Huh. Okay, so we just forget. Because people are watching, so it has a long tail, like a long life after
Right.
it's live. So
So
we're
you
gonna,
never know. Do you know when people, when they start watching it, you don't know until they comment?
right, I
Looking at
can
it?
see the little numbers, so
Oh,
they're
okay.
starting to watch, like, hi, but
Okay.
you have to say, so there you go, Mark Miller.
Hey, Mark.
Yeah, that's how we met. At
You and I?
Gabriella's,
Oh.
I saw you talk at her celebration of life at the school, and I was in tears, and I'm like, I need to know that person. Like, I wanted you in my fold.
Well, I'm glad you did because we've gotten fairly close since then. So
Oh
I'm
my
glad.
goodness, no,
Very glad.
I love you. Oh, look, see, so we're at 14. So most of them are stalkers and haven't said hello. Hi, Christy. I just did a deal with Christy the other day, so that was really good. Okay, my name's Gina. I run a real estate group in Northern Virginia, and today we are talking with Tom, Tattoo Tom. Although Facebook fired your name too,
They
huh?
did.
We have that in
Yeah,
common.
They said I couldn't be Tattoo Tom on Facebook.
Even though he is. Did you have to send in a copy of your driver's
I
license?
did indeed.
I had to
They
give
shut me down.
him my passport
Yeah.
to get it back, and they told you could never change your name again
That's
without
right.
approval?
That's right. Facebook.
Did they try to shut you down once and you tried to get around it, or did they go
just shut
right?
me down. They shut me down.
So I got shut down once, and I went in and changed because I was Gina Too Fine Tofano, and I made Too Fine 2 words. Like it was, instead of being 1 word as my middle name, I made it 2 words, and they let me go back on because I guess I beat their little system. And then the second time they were like, "Show us your passport."
Well, they shut me down the day I announced that we were doing the Tahoe 200 fundraiser, a $200,000 fundraiser.
Not like you had
They
anything
shut me
going
down
on.
that day.
Yeah.
So when they said you have to send us your ID, I immediately sent my ID. They had me by the short hairs, I guess, for lack of a better term. And so I had to do it so I could get back online so we could promote our fundraiser.
Does it not drive you nuts when you see other people with fake names now?
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to hit that little report
But,
button.
you know, hey, whatever. There's nothing I can do about it.
I know. You're still Tattoo Tom.
Yeah.
Did you see what I did this week, though?
No.
So if you go, you can have Facebook pronounce your name. You know, it says the pronunciation. And mine was always hidden because Gina Tofano wasn't hard to pronounce. You know, I never used it. You hit mine, it says Gina Too Fine. I made it pronounce my nickname. So you can make it pronounce Tattoo Tom. This is how you say Tom Mitchell is Tattoo Tom. I know, I felt a little cool.
Nobody ever confuses me for anybody else. So.
No, you don't have that problem?
No,
you're a little noticeable?
Yeah. Unfortunately. Well, fortunately and unfortunately. I mean, it works both ways. You know, I could never murder anybody because they could totally pick me out in a lineup.
Oh, in a heartbeat. Yeah.
But
it's okay. Right. You can wear sunglasses, I guess. Wear a bag over your head. So we have a whole bunch of people. Good morning, Bubba. Good morning, Paul. Oh, Gina's my cousin. See the Gina to Gina. Hi, Katie. Hi, Kim. Kim's watching Dylan right now. I just dropped Dylan off at her house because I had my days mixed up with his dad. So
sorry, this is my first cup of coffee. So
I know he had a cute little heart in his, and mine just looks like nothing. So I don't know what that says about me.
Probably not much about you, and more about the girl that made your coffee.
Maybe she likes you.
Maybe.
You got a heart. You should get her number. So Tom runs. You quit your day job how many years ago?
Well, officially, it's been
3?
It's almost 3 years now.
3 years?
Mm-hmm.
Quit his day job, and he works full-time for a nonprofit he started called Stillbrave.
Right.
I think work is probably the wrong. It's his mission, his passion.
Yeah, unfortunately it's work too, though.
Yeah.
I mean, it is. I put in a lot of hours, and it's definitely not a 9-to-5 job. It's a 24-hour day job, 7 days a week. But it's been very rewarding in a lot of ways, and it is my passion, it is my mission. So I'm very fortunate to have been able to figure out a way, at least for now, to maintain everything and do everything. So I'm very excited about where we've gotten since we started with this. You know?
So how did you make the leap, quitting the day job? How did you decide that was something you needed to do?
So I was working a day job, and Stillbrave was picking up a lot of momentum. We had some news coverage.
Mm-hmm.
We had a lot of big events that had popped up. We were getting a lot of requests for services, and we were developing a lot of our programs that we now, implement on a daily basis.
Mm-hmm.
But what was happening is I would go into my day job, I would close the door, and I'd get online and do Stillbrave stuff for half the day.
Oh.
And it was getting to the point where my boss was like, "What are you doing all day?" So in fairness to that company, and in fairness to Stillbrave, we had a board meeting and we had to decide what we were going to do, which is going to be to try to expand and grow this thing, or to tailor back our services, because I wasn't going to be able to push the
Put
way I
in
was
as much
pushing,
as you
right?
wanted, right?
So we took a leap of faith, and we just jumped. We just went and said, we'll try it, we'll see what happens. And it's still an experiment. I mean, it's really hard, day after day, year after year, to raise money for our family services and our programs, because our family services and programs have increased since I started full time. So we need to make much more money for that. We need to sustain my salary. So it's taxing to raise that much money day after day, year after year, and to continually have events and fundraisers that do that. So it can be extremely taxing, especially in this area.
Well, I think we play big here in general. We play big in this area. So there's a lot of big players. There's a lot of big donators, but there's a lot of big asks too.
Right.
We have I have a general rule at the office, and I don't know if I really want to say this out loud, but anyone who asks gets. Like just about any charity, any Girl Scout thing, any kid related, any sports, anything, all you have to do is ask, and I say yes. And I was doing $100 for every single person, and all of a sudden it got like ridiculous, and then I had to come up with rules like, well, this person can have 50 and this person can have this and this, because I don't want to say no. Like, I believe in passion projects, I believe in supporting the community, I believe in all of this, but I had to start drawing lines. Well, if you're outside of this geographic area, and if you're this and if you're that, and it was hard. And I can imagine like I support Stillbrave regularly, and I still don't feel like it's enough. I look at so just the value I got from taking Dylan to your fun fair, completely free. The best fair the child ever went to. He loved it. It was the most amazing experience. That wasn't a fundraiser.
It was just a fundraiser, we call that.
A fundraiser. Yeah. I mean, it was amazing. The things that you provided, the amount of community involvement you had. I saw Keller was a big sponsor of that. Saw a lot of familiar faces there. But, I mean, just to give back at that level, I feel like I don't even deserve to take part in that. Does that make sense?
Well, you do, and you have been a big.
But you know what I mean,
right? But you've been a big supporter. I mean, since the beginning, and we appreciate all the support that we get. One of the unique and awesome and things about this area is there are a lot of organizations that are working towards helping children with cancer and their families, and we all do similar but very different things.
Gloria has a huge idea how she could help. Do tell, Gloria.
Yeah, I'd like to know. We could use all the help we could get. But I mean, I know, of course, everybody in the childhood cancer community in the local area, and then even to a national and international level, I know a lot of people. So we try to do things that are a little different. The whole Renegade bad boy shtick. We try to push that. I run the ridiculous races, and we do the punk rock concert to raise money. We do stuff like that. But our family services and what we actually provide, the day-to-day, in the trenches assistance is...
Your objectives are different.
Yeah, it's a little different. So we don't raise money. We don't concern ourselves with a cure as an organization. We concern ourselves with helping the family on a day-to-day basis. Obviously, we want a cure. I wish I didn't have to do this for a living. Wish I didn't have to do this at all, and that nobody did. But in the absence of a cure, there's going to be families going through treatment who are going to have struggles. And so I know from when my daughter was sick and I was a single dad, what those struggles look like. One of the things, in my case, is I've always owned my own companies.
Oh, I love you, Suze.
Oh, I like Susie too. I've always owned my own companies. Ever since I was a kid, I had a landscape company, a roofing company, a tattoo shop. I've always owned my own companies. Well, when my daughter got sick, I had a home improvement business at the time, but I couldn't work because I had to take care of her. I was a single dad. My wife and I had separated, and I was a single dad, and it required me to care for her 24 hours a day. So when the money ran out, and it did quickly because our treatment went on for several months, how could I pay rent? How was I going to buy food? And one of the biggest struggles for me was food and groceries and things like that, because when you're going through chemotherapy, your taste buds are different and they change, and you never know what you're going to be hungry for and that type of stuff. And things got really desperate, and we were actually getting food from a food bank at one point. But the problem was, it was a great organization. They helped us out. But when they delivered the food, it may not have been something that she wanted, that she could tolerate. So I was in a really tough situation. And there were a couple of smaller organizations at the time, nothing like there is today, that did offer us some help. But throughout that process, and because my daughter was a little older, we had some very candid conversations about, especially when we found out that, she wasn't going to make it. We had some very candid conversations about.
I don't even know how you have that conversation.
Well, you have to. I don't know any other way to say it. You have to. But we would have very candid conversations about what my life was going to look like after she guide. And one of the things that she wanted me to do, or one of the things that we discussed, was being able to help other families. And so that's what we do. And that's why, when I first started Stillbrave, it was gas cards, grocery cards, the day-to-day stuff. Because there were some days I didn't even have gas to get the chemotherapy.
Right.
How can you even,
Right.
that's the reality of the situation. So that's how we started. And if all we had ever done was give out gas cards and grocery cards, that would have been awesome. But things escalated, and now we help pay for rent. We do a gazillion different things now. And,
well, it's the emotional support. Like you form bonds with these families.
Right.
Like that's how we met. So it was the bond you formed with the Millers that I saw that attracted me. And as you were talking, I was thinking of so I go through my own health struggles, and it's not going to kill me, but it ebbs and flows. And I was just thinking the other day, physical therapy is great. Like that's awesome. It's going to help me. It might get better. It might not. It's my brain that needs help. Like you're filling that hole in the cancer world. There's cancer treatments. There's the food bank bringing food, but people need a hug. Like you're the hug.
Well, I don't.
You know what I mean, though? Like, that's what I see. That's why I think so many people, you get down with the kids, and you're not afraid to have the conversations, and you're not afraid to hug, and you're not afraid to be present and be 100% there. And
well, it's interesting because I never would have imagined that would be the case. But
send me info on nonprofit. And thank you, Bubba.
Oh, great.
He was going to support you.
If anybody wants to go to our website, you can go to stillbrave.org. You can get a lot of information about the programs and services that we offer. There's a big page devoted to the big race I have coming up. I'm sure we'll talk about that later. And there, of course, plenty of places to donate. And if you're so inclined on the website.
Do you need Renegade help? Do you need people?
We always need help.
I saw your Adopt a Highway.
Right.
I'm not available, but that's this weekend.
Yeah,
right?
we have on Saturday. We have an Adopt a Highway program out in Vienna. We have a stretch of highway, and we just clean it up 3 times a year. But they have a big sign that says Stillbrave Childhood Cancer Foundation, so the community knows that we're out there, and we try to make a presence known. And
how do you adopt a highway?
Just fill out the paperwork. You find out there's a lot of strips are available. You just fill out the paperwork and clean it regularly. They provide you with bags and little cute vests and stuff you can wear.
I want to adopt a highway.
You should.
I'm totally adopting a highway. Kim, are you listening? Adopt us a highway.
You should. But we do that, so we need volunteers for that. We have a lot of events that come up through the year that we need volunteers for. Our Carnival of Kindness, obviously, we needed tons of volunteers for it.
Which was unbelievable.
Yeah, we had a really nice turnout. We got great community support. And that was an event that we just put on for kids to come out.
You're still brave.
Yep, that's us. We just put it on for people to come out and have fun. It was open to children with cancer. It was open to children with other diagnoses, and it was open to children with no diagnoses. It was open to everybody. It was a Carnival of Kindness, and it was open to everybody.
I'm going to tell you, Dylan loved it. He loved everything about it, and the people. So the people that come to support you, your quote-unquote renegades, are amazing as well. Like like attracts like, right? So as awesome as you are and as awesome as this world is, like Dylan was just met by 100 people who loved him instantly just because he walked in the room. Yeah,
we're really lucky. We have a very eclectic demographic of volunteers, for lack of. We call ourselves the island of misfit renegades.
We have it's awesome.
Yeah, we have a great group of people who come out and support. We have a full gamut of people. We have bikers, we have tattoo artists, we have secretaries, we have everything. I don't know, do they even have secretaries anymore?
I don't know. You have real estate agents.
Real estate agents. We have everything. So it's a pretty eclectic mix of people that come out to support us in our events. We have a ton of stuff that we go on. We have a rafting trip coming up. Oh, I know what I should mention.
I know about the rafting trip.
So on July...
Make it the beginning of July.
15.
I'm not here at the end. Oh, I'm still here.
July 15, we're going down Lazy River at Watermelon Park. And it's like... I think it's Percival. I can get the information.
Okay.
The information's on my Facebook.
Okay.
But it's a great, fun time. And if you are a Stillbrave family, if you have a child with cancer or a sibling of a child with cancer, you come out, we'll cover your costs for you. We've got a deal worked out with Watermelon Park. They're such awesome people. If you come out and you pay, they're going to donate all the money back to Stillbrave. So everyone, please come out on July 15th. For a wonderful, it's an all-star sibling event.
Park.
Watermelon Park is the name, and it's local. Most people, it's not far from here.
I don't know why I don't know it. So Watermelon Park is now like the bomb.
Yeah.
So the mere fact that they're paying for the cancer kids and the people who are actually paying, they're giving you the funds.
Yeah, they're a great organization. They helped us out a couple of years ago, and we're doing it again this year.
So if you can't go to the rafting thing, just go there anyway and support them because they're amazing.
Right. And then another really fun event because I saw you had Kevin here the other day.
Oh, Kevin.
On July 19th.
Are you doing a comic thing?
On July 19th at the Ashburn Pub, we're doing a pep rally party to send me off before I go do my 200-mile ultra marathon.
Oh, now, you've been training for this then for a long time, right?
Yeah, because unfortunately, I attempted this race last year.
I know.
It is arguably, depending on who you talk to, the most difficult ultra marathon in North America. It's in Washington State, up Mount St. Helens volcano, and then 150 miles over to Mount Adams, and it's brutal.
So it's 200 miles. You had done the 100-mile, was that at Tahoe?
No, I did a 100-mile
Where was the 100?
in Ohio called the Mohican 100, and then I did the Tahoe 200.
You completed that
So I did complete the Tahoe 200.
Oh, okay.
So then I went to do this Bigfoot 200 because it's arguably the most difficult race.
Right.
There's 88,000 feet of elevation change. It's insane. It's supposed to be you're up a volcano. This craziness. But the problem for me last year, there's several problems. Is it really is a very, very difficult race, and I'm not a runner.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm not a runner. I've done a lot of things since Stillbrave has started to raise money. I became a professional boxer.
Mm-hmm.
That's a long story.
I'll still take them down.
Yeah, those of you who were at that fight know it's not a long story. I got knocked out.
Oh, did you?
Like the first or
immediately?
second round, yeah. But raised like
$20,000.
Yeah, and I raised $20,000. I've gotten my ass whipped for free. You know,
Right.
that seemed like a deal.
So if they're gonna pay you, that's
Right.
even better.
So I've done that, the running, and I sing in a band. We do a concert once a year.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not a boxer. I'm not a runner. I'm not a singer. I'm none of those things. I just pretend to be so that I can raise money.
And you
help
slept in
children
a
with
Holiday
cancer.
Inn last night? No,
No, I
that's right.
didn't. I just do those things so that I can raise money to help children with cancer and their families. So last year I attempted this race, and it was unseasonably hot even for August in Washington State. So it was 103 degrees on the face of the volcano. And the problem is, when the volcano erupted, even though it was 30 years ago, Mount St. Helens, it leveled everything.
Right, I've been
So
there.
there's no
nothing,
shade.
no
Nothing is
trees,
built back
nothing.
up, so
Yeah.
there's no shade. And there's all this ash and everything.
Mhm.
So I was walking. I felt like a rotisserie chicken. I was just getting cooked
Aw.
and cooked and cooked. And so I only completed 90 of the 200 miles last year.
Well, did you time out, or did you?
We timed out. I just couldn't. I was cramping. I was.
Mm-hmm.
I got in my head about some things, and I was struggling, and it was very difficult. And I just didn't. It just wasn't in the cards, unfortunately. But as soon as I got back to the house, I called the race director, and I was like, "When can I sign up for next year?"
Mm-hmm.
So I signed up for next year, which is now coming up this year, and I started training. I started doing a lot of different things, trying to acclimate myself to the temperatures, and so I've been doing a lot of hot yoga.
Well, you've been training a lot. So from the outside, not that I see you on a day-to-day, it appears like you've intensified your training tenfold compared to last time.
Well, yes and no. I mean,
or are you just more public about it?
Well, I'm doing a lot of different things now.
Okay.
So I'm going to the gym, I'm going to yoga, and I'm running a lot. So I'm doing a lot of different things. But my intent is to really, I've got about a little less than 2 months before the race. So I'm really going to be buckling down. So you're going to see, I've been struggling with like some allergies or something in the past couple of days. So I'm kind of catching my breath. But you're going to see in the next month or so, I'm going to be 3 times a day doing something. I'm really going to try to get ready for this thing. We're going back. We're calling it Bigfoot 200, the relapse.
Yes.
And, there's a great story, and you can find it on my website. I characterized this race as like children with cancer. I went last year and I tried to complete this race, and I couldn't. It was brutal. It was painful. It was horrible.
Oh, I read that.
And I couldn't complete it. And like kids with cancer, they go through the treatment, and all of a sudden they're in relapse, or they're in remission. It happened to my daughter.
Mm-hmm.
She went through all this horrible stuff, and she was
and
in
you
remission.
Think you did it, and then
we go for the first scans, and it had come back. And so she had to go back and do the chemotherapy and the radiation and everything all over again, or she would have died. And she died anyway, but she still had to do that. She didn't have a choice.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm trying to replicate, in my own kind of weird way, what it's like to have to go back and do something that you don't necessarily want to do, but that you have to do.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm not going to die if I don't go back and run this race,
Right.
but I'm going to go back anyway.
No. Now are all your miles taken? There's a mile for each child, right?
Right, so we have 205 children, because this race is actually 205 miles.
Because 200 is just not enough.
Anybody could do 200. Right? So it's 205 miles. So we have 205 children designated for each mile. And my daughter Shayla is mile 205.
Okay.
And what we're doing is we're trying to raise money per child. Our goal is very unrealistic, but it's a goal, is $205,000. So we'd like to raise $1,000 per mile. So if you go to the website, stillbrave.org, and you click on Bigfoot 200, you'll see the pictures of the kids.
Okay.
And you'll see you can donate $1, you could donate, $1,000. You can donate any portion that you want.
Oh, so then do the families then promote their children too?
Sometimes they do. Like sometimes the families when I put the call out, who wants me to honor their child, who would like me to run with their child, a lot of families were, really wanted to be a part of that. Because here's the thing, Gina, and a lot of people don't know this, and maybe some people do, but for me and for a lot of parents who lose children, particularly to cancer, well, that's my only reference, but when we lose children to cancer, our biggest fear is that people are going to forget about our kids. And people are they walk on eggshells and they're so afraid to even say their names. Like if you say my name, Shayla, if you say Shayla's name in front of me, it's not like I'm going to be, oh man, why'd you say that? My daughter died. I know that she died, So it doesn't bother me when you say that. But the biggest fear is that they're going to be forgotten. And
well,
what
then
happens,
people don't know what to say. They don't know what to do. So they say nothing, and then it comes true, really, or it feels like it does.
Right. So when you're going through, the kids are going through treatment, there's a lot of attention, there's a lot of everything, and then it tapers off, and then a year goes by, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, and and then your children are forgotten almost. So when I put the call out to the families, there was a lot of response. There's a lot of people that wanted me to recognize their children and honor their children. So we got those people who really wanted their children not to be forgotten, and I take it very personal that it's my job to make sure these children are not forgotten, and it's very important to me that they're never forgotten, and so that's why I'm running this race. There's a variety of reasons I'm running this race, to raise money, to raise awareness, but to also be there for the families, because I am a childhood cancer dad, and a lot of people don't realize that sometimes, or I think people don't understand sometimes how I got into this work. I got into this work because my daughter got sick and died. It's not like I want to be doing this, but anyways, but if you go to the website, you can see the pictures of the kids. You can read their stories. You can donate anywhere from $1 to $1,000 per mile. We're trying to raise $205,000. Right now, I think we're at $45,000.
Okay.
So please go there. Even if you skip one cup of coffee, if you just get one less drink at the bar tonight, if you get one less taco, if you do something like that, if everybody pitched in and everybody kicked in between now and the race, we could meet that goal. And then we could continue our family services and programs into 2018. And the reality of the situation for me is this is this is going to be my last big race. I can't keep doing this. I mean, I'm getting older, and these are brutal on me, and the training and the effort.
Do you have any toenails left?
Currently, I'm okay, but I'm going to lose a bunch of them, I'm sure.
Sorry.
Last year, I lost several, but currently, I'm okay. But this is going to be our big fundraiser. So we really need to raise this money. We have programs at Inova Children's Hospital where we run a teen oncology program, because the younger kids have a lot of attention with Build-A-Bear workshops come through, and princesses and clowns and magicians. But the older kids, the teenagers, the last thing they want to do is have another balloon animal or whatever. So we try to do more age-appropriate stuff. But it costs money to sponsor those programs. So I need to continually raise money. Like I was saying, the bigger we're getting, the more responsibilities we have, and the more family services and programs like the Inova program. So we need to raise a ton of money. So please consider, even if you don't donate, please at least consider going to my website and reading these children's stories, and leave a comment so their parents will know.
Oh, that's brilliant.
That you're not forgotten.
Like, so what? What do you say? So I'm friends with Roya. I'm friends with the Millers. I'm friends with you, and I really just say I don't know what to say. I never lost a child. I don't know what that's like. And I think sometimes people are afraid to approach, or just like you said, they're afraid to bring it up. But when you posted that it was your daughter's birthday, I gave you a hug. Well, I texted you a hug. But you have to recognize that, I sit down with Ellen Miller, they're still raw. I can't imagine, losing that. But what would you tell the general public? How do you want to be approached? What should they say?
Just be normal. Just be regular. Don't try too hard, first of all.
Right. There's nothing right or wrong to say.
And you don't have to say anything, but try not to not say anything.
Right, and I think that's the piece.
That's the thing. Don't be afraid to not say something. Don't be afraid to ask, how are you doing, or what's this, or what was that, or, one of my favorite things to do, and what I found to be, this is just my own personal thing, and I don't know if it's true or not, is when a family loses a child with cancer, the first question I always ask them is, what was she like? I want to know, what was she like? And then they'll tell me, and their eyes will light up, and their face will get colorful, and you can see the color come back into their face, and they'll tell you what she was like.
Because that's the joy.
Yeah. So if you want something just to drop, say, tell me what was she like?
So I take that, everything I can relate to MS, because I don't have that, but the pity looks. Like when people know that I'm sick or they're afraid to talk, or if I'm going through a flare, I get these pity looks, and I hate the pity looks. Like you wouldn't believe. I much prefer if somebody just asks me, "What does it feel like?"
Right.
And that's the same question. Like just ask.
Yeah.
I have no problem sharing, but don't look at me like I'm less than, or don't be afraid to come down. You're not going to catch it. You know, it's.
Yeah, people are funny
Don't
because
treat me differently.
I think the problem, I don't know. I mean, I've thought about it in ad nauseum, trying to figure out, make sense of it. But, people, particularly with children, when you talk about children being sick and when you talk about children dying, it causes you to look at the the mortality of your own children and your own life. And nobody wants to do that. So they avoid. I've had gentlemen that I would approach the conversation, like, I don't want to talk about it. I can't even go there. And I'm like, wow, okay. I hope that you never have to go there. But there's some people that it's just so painful that they don't want to talk about it. And I respect that. Everybody has
a different way.
deal with
Everybody
stuff.
has
Yeah.
their
I mean,
pilot.
I have no idea. I can't tell you how or why it is that I'm able to do what I do, and how it is that why children with cancer dig me, and why I dig them, and why it's effective.
So the first time, Dylan, I think I told you this story. So Tom, I was going through my never-ending midlife crisis, and I was in a search for religion. And I was asking, I know we have lots of comments.
Hey, Valerie.
Aww.
I know Valerie. I love Valerie. Her son, Caleb, he's so awesome. They just had a birthday party instead of, he's doing really well with his cancer, but he had a birthday party, and in lieu of presents, he donated to Stillbrave. And he invited me out to the moon bounce, so I was jumping in the moon bounce.
Oh, that's awesome. That's super awesome. Kids have the most amazing hearts. They're amazing. So the first time I met Tom, I had put out an APB for what church do people go to, and I was mad at God, and I was looking for a solution. And he took me to his Buddhist temple, which was the first place that I felt at home. It didn't conflict with anything I believed. Anyway, so the first time we go, we meet at a diner beforehand, and I had Dylan with me, and Dylan was 3. I mean, he was little.
Yeah.
He was like 3. And I'm all nervous because I'm dragging Dylan with me, and I feel like I have to apologize. I bring him to work. Dylan's everywhere, so but he's also a kid, so he's a little unpredictable. And so here I'm all ready to prep and kind of keep Dylan at bay. He talks to Dylan, and just Dylan melts. They connect. It's the cute, and it doesn't even dawn on me. Duh, he works with children. Like, children love you. You connect at such a level. Like, Dylan has never done that with an adult before, ever. Like, it was pretty amazing, and it was only after that I'm like, oh yeah, that's why you're natural.
It's the strangest thing. I never would have fathomed in a million years.
It's completely natural. It wasn't forced. It wasn't pretend. It was just completely natural. And Dylan and you just clicked, and I didn't even have to be there. I'm like, all right, they're having a conversation.
Yeah. I never would have dreamed in a million years that I would connect with children. Like, that's probably because I'm just a big stupid kid, deep down, and I'm not afraid. One of the things with children is I don't talk to children like they're children. I talk to them the same way that I would talk to you or anybody, and they sense that, and particularly children with cancer. There's a certain, I don't know. There's a certain way that some people talk to them. It's very condescending. It's very, and I don't do that. I just don't.
It's probably a combination of the pity look, and they don't know what to do. Yeah.
And so I think they find it refreshing when, I go to the hospital and crack fart jokes, or talk about.
Oh, well, that's how Dylan. You can't even say the word. You can't say butterfly because it has butt in it, and he'll crack up laughing. Exactly. Potty talk is king.
Yeah. So, and I'm not afraid to do that, and just to get down on their level, get down on the ground and play with them. And I think it freaks them out.
Were you always like that, or did that come out of your experience?
I mean, it really sort of amplified when Stillbrave got going. That's when I sort of became aware of it. I was like, wow. Because I didn't anticipate it when I started Stillbrave. I mean, I always liked kids, and I've always, enjoyed being around kids, but I didn't connect that way. What was really interesting is before I started Stillbrave, before Shayla even got sick, I had this big crisis of conscience one day. Okay. And I'd owned a tattoo shop for almost 10 years, and I was carrying on and partying and owning a tattoo shop and just living this fast, wild, crazy lifestyle, singing in punk rock bands. And I decided one day that I didn't want to do that anymore, that I didn't think that was the kind of legacy that I wanted to leave. Like, what was that, So I sold my tattoo shop, and I went to work at a school for children with autism and traumatic brain injury. I went from making a lot of money to making $7 an hour for a while. Now, obviously, that job couldn't sustain me, but it was a nice transition. And I was pretty effective at it. Children with autism really dug me because I looked a little different. and I connected with them on a different level. So I had a lot of success in some of the things that I was able to do with those children. So I started connecting some dots, and then it was probably a couple years later when my daughter was diagnosed, and so I focused on that. But once Stillbrave got started, again, it was just going to be gas cards and grocery cards. But then I'd start making little hospital visits and things like that, and then I developed these relationships.
It fills you up, doesn't it?
Yeah, and these relationships escalated to where kids were calling me, and their parents were calling me, and they were emailing me, and hey, can you come visit? Will you come to the clinic? Can you do this? Can you do that? And I was like, wow, these kids want me around. And so I just started showing up, and that's really it. I'll tell you the big secret. If there's a secret, I have no idea what I'm doing. Okay, I'm just winging it. All I do is show up. That's it. I show up for the hard stuff.
I was just going to say the hard stuff. So when we all connect, it goes through my filter. And when I'm struggling, it's my only goal at the end of the day is to show up. If I show up, I succeeded. And stop beating myself up. Just show up.
Yeah, that's
if you're not present, you can't do it.
Right. And I show up. I try to show up not only when things are good, but particularly when things are bad. When my daughter was first diagnosed, the first day, her whole school showed up. It was amazing. There were hundreds of people there, and the family was there. A couple months later, it was a lot less people, and a few months later, it was a lot less people, and a year later, there was a lot less people, and at the very end, there was only a handful of people left.
Right.
And I remember the people who showed up, and I remembered how important it was for me that they did. So I promised myself that I was going to be one of those people who showed up even when it wasn't pretty, when it wasn't hard, it wasn't easy. Yeah. So, but it's tough work. I don't want to kid you. People are always like, I don't know how you do this. How can you do that? And I really don't know. It does get really heavy sometimes, and it does take a toll because you are seeing stuff that's hard to see. And you're experiencing stuff that's hard to experience.
How do you level yourself? What do you center yourself with?
So some days are better than others.
Yeah. No, I hide under a blanket a lot, so I get it.
I do pretty well as long as I stay busy. But I run and I sing in a band, and I try a variety of things. I probably need to take a vacation sooner or later. At some point,
I tried vacationing as an escape. It worked for a little while. It gets old too. Yeah. Everything gets old. Do you journal?
I do not. Well, sometimes I write poetry. Sometimes I go out to sometimes I go out to open mic nights and read my stuff. Oh, sure. So that's a nice outlet and venue for me.
Huh. So what kind of poems?
All kinds of stuff.
When are you going to open mic night? I'm stalking you.
I don't know. I go often. I go to Busboys and Poets. There's several locations in the area. They have open mic night, Mondays and Wednesdays. You can go read 2 poems or.
Really?
Oh yeah. You want to go sometime?
Yes.
All right, we'll go.
Oh my goodness, that's amazing. Huh. I journal, and so I used to journal all the time. And in the beginning of my midlife crisis, I realized that I was journaling the same thing every single day for years. Yeah. I wasn't getting anywhere. And, they're like, oh, go back in your journal and you'll see how far you've come. I'm like, that looks exactly the same as what I just wrote today. So obviously this isn't working. So I stopped for a few years and I picked it up again more recently, and I can actually see progress now. I think I was stuck in, you just kind of get stuck in it. And I was writing the same thing down without coming up with a solution. So I had to actually get down and dirty. What book you got for us?
Okay, so like you said, you asked me about churches. I'm a real student of religion and a real student of spirituality. I don't necessarily identify as any one thing, but I get a lot out of almost all religions.
What were you raised as? Or were you?
I really wasn't raised as anything. There was some Catholicism in my family, but it wasn't pushed, and we didn't go to church regularly or anything. My upbringing was kind of scattered, and I was shifted around from relative to relative, so things were different depending on where I was at. And my mom and my stepdad, neither one of them went to church once we did get settled. But I've experimented with a lot of different things. I went to Christian church for a long time as an adult. I was baptized. I worked at a Christian church for a while. Most recently, for the past probably, I don't know, it's about 15 years, I was attending a Buddhist temple in Burke, the one that you and I went to. And so the founder, I think I identify, I think it's fair to say I get down with Jesus. I love the stuff that he talked about in the Bible.
That's going to be the quote from this. I get down with Jesus.
Oh, I get down with Jesus. If you read all the stuff in the Bible that's in red, the stuff that he talked about, it's a very it's profound, it's impactful, it's a great way to live. Like, I mean, it makes total sense to me.
Okay.
I sometimes struggle with, are we really, or I don't want to turn this into that kind of conversation, but I sometimes struggle with,
totally.
are we really, or are Christians really emulating what Jesus talked about and what Jesus shared?
Oh,
but,
yeah.
but I love everything that he said, and I've read the Bible. I've studied the Bible cover to cover on many occasions. I went to many Bible studies. I know the Bible as well, if not better than a lot of Christians. One of my favorite quotes of all time, I'm big on quotes. I post them all the time on Facebook, is from the Bible, and it's from Isaiah. And God he's got a mission that he wants somebody to do. And so he says, who shall we send? Who will go for us? And Isaiah, I guess, raises his hand and he says, here am I, send me. And so I feel that way with.
You're Isaiah.
Yeah, I mean, when God was like, who's going to go do this childhood cancer thing? I was like, here am I, send me. But I also really like Buddhism. I like the wisdom and compassion that I find in Buddhism. So I'm kind of a buffet student of religion. I take a lot from almost every religion. The interesting thing, for me at least, that I've discovered in studying all of these different things is that when you take away the dogma and you take away the ritual and you take away the clothing and the days that you're supposed to do certain things, when you take all of that away and you look at the text of most of these religious documents and religious books, the bottom line, the common denominator almost always, is get outside of yourself and be of maximum love and service.
Exactly.
That's the common denominator. So that's what I try to do, and I try to pick things out of the different texts and religions that subscribe to that ideology. So anyways.
Well, I grew up cold, hard Roman Catholic, like Catholic Church, you're going to hell, you have to confess, you have to do this, you have to do that. So my search for religion led me to other churches which conflicted with what I grew up with. So Catholic, my wiring was not matching what people were saying. And so when I went with you, suddenly they weren't telling me that Catholicism was bad. They were just telling me to be nice. They were just telling me to honor the earth and honor myself and, just compassion and love and respect. And I was just like, oh, I can do this. Like, that was the first one. So what do we got?
It's really funny. Well, I'd say the first day that I went to this temple, there was this old lady. She was probably 160 years old. She was really old Japanese lady.
160.
She was really old. But I had just come from a bad experience at a Christian church where I had worked. And I was talking to her, and she was trying to, help me understand what Buddhism was and what Shin Buddhism was. And I said, well, they really sort of emphasized that I was going to go to hell if I even came to this temple.
Right.
And she's like, don't worry, honey, we don't even have hell. So it's pretty funny. So I was like, okay. But anyway, so I brought this book, and this book was written by the founder of Ikoji Buddhist Temple.
Okay.
And his name was Reverend Suji. He was the first sort of monk or reverend of that. And Shin Buddhism is sort of a blue-collar layman's Buddhism. It's not as intense as like Zen Buddhism or Tibetan Buddhism. That you can do your own research if you're so inclined, or you can read this book and you get more information about sort of what they teach and what their precepts are. It's very common, but like with Buddhism, like with Christianity, you have Catholics and Baptists and Protestants. Buddhism is the same way. There are different sects of Buddhism. So this is Shin Buddhism.
Okay.
And I brought this book to you because it's one of my favorite books to go to just for inspiration. This guy I never met him. He had passed away before I went to the temple, but everybody spoke so highly of him all the time. So they gave me this book the first day, and so I read his thoughts on different things. And one of the things that I read that means the world to me, and I think about it all the time, as I'm going to read it to you right now, it's about fireflies.
Okay.
And then there's a lot of other really good stuff in here. This is about fireflies, and this really sums it up for me in no uncertain terms.
That you read to everybody.
Okay. So it's called Fireflies. From ancient times, we humans have always been fascinated by these little beings. Scientists explain that the firefly's light is produced through a complicated interaction of a number of chemicals. But for me, its light teaches a very valuable lesson. The firefly is not poisonous and does not bite. Its lifespan is short, and in its brief moments on Earth, it just gives off light. As for me, I am stronger, more intelligent, civilized, and I live longer, but I cannot give off light. It makes me very humble.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, so I like that, and this book has a lot of little things like that in it, inspirational things. It talks a little bit about Shin Buddhism and his experience with Shin Buddhism. It's a great little book. It's a fun, easy read if you want a little bit more information about it. And if you'd ever want to visit this temple, they have a great visitor program. You can find them online too.
Dylan, they have a good kid program.
Yeah, they have a kid program there. They're big supporters of Stillbrave. They do a lot of fundraising for us, and they make things for the kids at the clinic sometimes. Around Halloween, they do candy baskets and stuff for us and stuff like that. They're really great people
We
over
put
there.
together one of the things, Dylan, it's far away from where we are, and whatever, that's a whole nother side thing. I just want to read this part again because I really liked it. The firefly is not poisonous and does not bite. Its lifespan is short, and in its brief moments on Earth, it just gives off light.
That's its job.
I love it.
That's its
You
job.
have one job.
Yeah, good jobs give off light, and they're cool, man. The way they do it, it's not just regular light; it's that fluorescent green, cool light.
Dylan catches them, and he won't hurt them, and he won't, and he can't. Look, Mom, look before it flies away. What do we have comments?
Susie.
Oh, Susie, where'd you go? Did she go with you?
No, she didn't go with me.
Susie, you didn't go with me. What the hell? Hey, Joanne.
Oh, hey, Joanne. I love Joanne. Trimmer is one of my
I think I was
all-time
supposed to
most
talk to her
favorite people
yesterday. We were
ever.
texting. Was I supposed to call you?
Joanne Trimmer is one of
Sorry.
my most favorite people of all time ever. I want her to know that. I love her dearly. She really helped. Without her, Stillbrave would not be where it is today. She helped us grow in ways that are immeasurable. Like I'm so grateful and will always be grateful to her.
It's a love fest. Do hearts. I like it when they do the hearts and you see them go across the screen. It makes me very happy. I'm a simple girl. I like the hearts. Are you okay? You got deep there for a minute.
I really like Joanne.
I know. I can tell. What time is it? We have a little more time. What do you want to talk about?
Okay. We could talk about my race again. We could talk about the Ashburn Pub event again. Let's just make those dates available again. So the race is going to be August 11th through the 15th. So it's a 205-mile race, and I have 100 hours to complete it.
Okay.
And there's 88,000 feet of elevation change. I'm actually going to have a GPS tracker on me, so you'll be able to monitor it on Facebook, my progress. Excuse me. And there'll be plenty of opportunities to donate during the race. We're really hoping to meet this goal that we've set. But you can follow along. You can watch the drama, the suspense. It's going to be pretty exciting. I've had a lot of great experience with it in the past. And please, again, even if you can't donate or you don't donate, at least go to the website. Let's go to the website and read the stories of the children and leave a comment for the parents. Just say, hey, what was he like? Or and you can read about what they were like too. It's all on there. And then big shout out to the Ashburn Pub and Kevin.
Kevin's amazing.
He's such a big supporter of Stillbrave. He actually goes to a hospital. He's part of our program. He goes to the hospital.
Does he really?
And he draws cartoon characters for the kids. Yep, he does.
Kevin
He's
is
so
amazing.
awesome.
He has a big Zima party tonight at the pub. So we're bringing the 90s back. If anyone wants to drink bad, fuzzy alcoholic beverages.
Yep. But we'll be on July 19th. We'll be doing the pep rally to send me off to the race. There'll be raffles and Stillbrave cocktails. I'll be guest bartending.
The 19th?
The 19th is a Wednesday.
I fly out either Wednesday or Thursday. Hang on, because I have an idea. When do I leave? Flight info. I leave Wednesday. Oh, I was going to say because my birthday's the 22nd. We could have had a birthday party at the pub.
My birthday's the 20th.
Did I know that?
I don't know.
Huh. Are you going to be 42 again, too? Yeah. I'm 42 for the third time this year.
Yeah, this is a big one for me.
Are you 50? Yeah. Really?
Mm-hmm.
Damn, that's old.
Thanks.
No, that's like legit.
I know, right? I never expected to make it this far.
That's legit. Mm-hmm. So what are you doing for your birthday?
Nothing. I'm going to run a 200-mile race shortly thereafter.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, that's badass and all, but I don't know, 50.
Yeah, but I don't want to make a big deal out of it. It's the same as 49. So.
Well, 42. I'm just going to keep having that one because people believe that one.
I don't want to freak out about it. It's like I'm grateful to have made it this far.
What was your hardest birthday?
I'm not a big birthday guy. So
29 killed me.
Really?
For the record.
It's never been a big deal to me.
My
hardest one was waiting for 18 so I could drink. That was the hardest one. And then they changed the law.
Were you grandfathered?
No. I made the. Let me see, how did it go? So I didn't make the Virginia. They changed it in Virginia. I didn't make it, but D.C. was still 18. Okay. So we could drive to D.C. and drink, which was nice because then we could drive home drunk, which made total sense.
Yeah, no, that's whatever.
So I made that. My grandfathered into D.C., so I was able to start drinking then.
Okay. Because my aunt was a couple years older. She's not with us anymore, but she was grandfathered. We were up in Jersey, and she could still drink. So she was 18, and it all, there's that weird gap where your friends, you're 19 and you can drink, and your 18-year-old friends can't, and now it's just 21 everywhere. And who really cares?
You know what I can say also too? There's besides Stillbrave, there are a lot of really amazing childhood cancer foundations in this area that do amazing things, and they're friends of mine. I'd like to give a shout out while you're looking at Stillbrave.
Yeah.
You know, look at organizations like Smashing Walnuts.
Well,
look
and
at
their
Kyle's
focus,
Camp.
right? So they all have a little bit different focus.
Yeah, Kyle's Camp, Smashing Walnuts raise money for research. Lindsay Rhodes has started Kate's Cause in honor of her daughter. It's a great organization. Of course, Team Matthias is a wonderful organization. So Ellie's Hats, another great organization.
Oh my goodness, there's so many.
And we're all doing a little bit of different things.
Are we in a cancer bubble? Or do you think we just are in a society of overachievers that want to make a difference? So
Well,
is it the people or the location?
So there's a variety of thoughts on that. You know, per capita, we have a lot of people here. You know, in other parts of the country, I get requests or I get messages all the time. I wish we had something like Stillbrave here. So it's more condensed here. There's more people. You know, do more kids get cancer here than other parts of the country? I'm not entirely sure.
Or are we just high achievers and bring awareness to it?
I don't know the answer. You know, we're in the DC metro area. You know, unfortunately there are a lot of cases of childhood cancer in this area.
There's a ton.
Right, and people do react well in this area. You know, so anyways, there's a lot of really good organizations, and it's important to note that I appreciate everything that all of them are doing. You know, because ultimately. You know, if I have this saying, if you have 2 sticks, they're very easy to break. But if you have 50 sticks, they're a lot harder to break. So the more angles we attack this, right? The more angles we attack this, maybe someday we can find a cure. If you get a chance, you can watch my TED Talks. I speak a little bit. I speak a little bit about
3 of them.
Yeah, I've done 3. I just finished the 3rd one. It just posted, and you know, I talk about what can we do to make a difference. You know, we have to change what we're doing. What we're doing as a country isn't working, and so we need to figure out what to do to get more research funding, and we need to figure it out. And unfortunately, I don't have those answers, but we need to figure it out. We need to come together and figure it out.
So I'm a big, I don't know if we have even time to get into this. I truly believe that how do I even say it without pissing off a lot of people? We bring it all on ourselves. I'm kind of one of those people that we create our realities. So if you go really into, we're 100% responsible for everything that happens, and it's kind of a woo-woo-ish piece, like you signed up for this life, and I'm sort of not getting into the details, but in general, I believe that it's not necessarily finding a cure. We need to stop it from happening. Because we throw more medicine. So I've been stuck, and your daughter was too. She got stuck in the medical cycle. It actually made her sicker rather than better. And
Right.
I really think the problem comes before that. I really think we need to dial it all the way back. What are we doing that is creating our body? So I always look at it as my body turns on itself. So when I have flares, it's literally me attacking me. And cancer is very similar. Cancer is your body's gone awry. It's sort of doing its own thing. The cells are not doing what they're supposed to do. And so in my case, it's my immune system's attacking me instead of attacking bad things, and MS is just the nerves, or you could have diabetes, or you could have, there's a whole host of things, and it's just attacking something different inside. I really wonder if we all just dialed it back, if we all stopped drinking the chai latte and just drink the freaking tea leaves, if we all just dialed it back. Is that really the answer? Because the medicine side, I've been caught in that cycle. Your daughter was caught in that cycle. Is that really the way we need to go?
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, but you just opened a whole can of worms.
I know. And
a
I feel
lot
a
of
little passionate about it.
Yeah.
So, and I don't know if it's right or wrong. I just don't know. Sometimes I think we're looking in the wrong box.
Yeah, I don't know unfortunately, I have no idea what the answer is, and I probably in my lifetime will never know what the answer is. So in the absence of that answer, what can I do? I can try to show up and make a difference, and so that's what I do.
Give people a hug.
Yeah.
I know. I'm sorry, I started on a bad.
No, it's okay.
I got a little deep there. No, I really believe that. I really believe that all the crap that, there's a consequence to everything that we do. Nothing happens in a vacuum. Nothing happens completely independent from everything else. That light burning is some electrical power. Everything, if you start going back and back and back, everything everything has a reaction. Everything has a cause and effect. Every single little thing. Like somebody watching this, maybe they're not paying attention to the road, and then, hi Wayne, are you agreeing with me?
I agree with you.
Or am I creating enemies here? Because I feel a little like every single thing we do, everything we feed our brain with, every song we listen to, every food that we digest, every conversation that we have or don't have has an impact. And where is the answer?
Well, I mean, there's a lot of that's a deep conversation.
I know. We have 5 minutes
yeah,
left.
there's. I mean, the Buddhists talk about it. You know, Buddha said that all life is suffering, and there's an eightfold path to alleviate that suffering. The Christians talk about 10 Commandments to alleviate that suffering. There's a lot of different other religions and philosophies that talk about, you know, right ways to live, and you know, you talked about tea, and you know, there's a lot of people that believe in holistic medicine. There's a lot of different things. There's a lot of speculation, but unfortunately, we're all just spinning around in this world speculating what's going on, and that's my problem. And I'm honest enough to say I don't know what I'm doing. I haven't had an original thought my entire life, you know.
There's a book called Steal Like an Artist that says there are no more original thoughts.
I haven't had one my entire life.
Change it around.
Just swinging it.
Show up and make a difference. That's exactly.
That's it. Show up and make a difference. That's all you can do.
Show up. Show up.
That's what we do. So what Stillbrave does. We show up even when it's not. What I always say is, you know, can you find beauty even when it's not pretty? You know what I mean? And if you can do that and show up, that's half the battle.
Showing up is
it's big.
The bulk of it.
It's big.
So prior to this, we were talking about escapism, and I lumped all that together too. I'm a big generalizer. And showing up is honestly, I don't necessarily, like I did it with travel, I can do it with food, I can do it with exercise, you can do it with a whole host of things, but showing up that's the way out, that's the way into the light, that's the way, we all want to change our state, right? Like when you're not feeling good, you want to change your state. There's a lot of easy ways to change your state. You know, you can zone out and watch TV, you can have something to drink, you can go exercise, you can, you know, go to sleep, you can do all these things. Some of them will make your life a little more positive, and some of them you'll get out of that state, but you're going to wind up in a worse one, you know. And I think sometimes we're just trying so hard just to escape. We turn on the TV and we're like, oh good, I'm not in that zone anymore, but you just pushed yourself down 3 rungs, you know. You didn't show up, and to actually show up and be present is the only way you climb that ladder, and it's the only way you reach people and help.
I agree.
And there you go, and that's what you're doing.
Yeah, and this country and this world is full of distractions and full of escapes, and with our phones, and I mean the information that's spewed at you a million miles an hour, it's easy to do that. So to take a step back and just show up and be present and be helpful is, I think, that the key. For me, it's the key.
No, I think it's the ultimate key for everything. Okay, but the two of you show up, and love you, sweetie. All right, guys, we have chatted. We're at about an hour, and that's it for today.
Okay, well, thanks for having me. Thanks for the coffee.
I think everybody should donate to his kids. So
if you could, I mean, just please go to the website stillbrave.org, click on the Bigfoot 200 tab, and just read the stories. Look at the pictures.
I love that. You can, if you don't have a spare dollar, comment on those, because the parents of those kids, if you're a parent or want to be one or whatever, if you have family, you would want comments on there. The emotional support is more than $1. It's more, more valuable.
Even a comment that says, you know, so beautiful, or what a handsome gentleman. I mean, it matters. You know, it really
don't
matters.
Forget the kids. That's huge. Yeah. What were they like?
Yeah, that's the best thing.
That's an okay question to ask.
It's a good question. What was she like? What was he like?
What was she like?
She was awesome. She's a pain in the ass teenager too, though. Yeah. So, but she was awesome. She was my best friend for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah, she definitely was. She taught me a great deal. And she.
Oh, come on in. We have a guest. You're not coming in?
I'm hanging out.
Okay.
Anyway, so. But.
Reminds me of Andrew when you talk about her.
Yeah. She was cool. She and I had a lot of really good conversations. So, you know, I don't think I've ever had conversations with anybody else like I had with her. You know, it was very real. Yeah, very real and
I see
very authentic.
Gloria Sheridan is hiding in the corner peeking at us. I ratted you out.
Hi.
All right. Well, we're going to go. Love you guys. Bye, Lori. Bye, Wayne. Bye, Pam. I'm sorry we didn't chat so much with you guys, but
thanks, Joanne. I love you.
I know. She's amazing. She's going on vacation today or tomorrow to the Grand Canyon, my stomping grounds. We were chatting yesterday. Okay, have a great day, guys, and if you got nothing else out of this, show up. Okay?
That's right. Show up.
All right, bye,
Show up
guys.
and wing it.